First, I want to begin with very brief thanks to my family, my wife Giselle, obviously my friends and colleagues, the staff of this Legislative Assembly and caucus office, and all the folks that work in this building who do an outstanding job. I want to thank my constituency assistant Chris, who is doing a yeoman's effort back at the constituency office, and I'm very, very happy to have her working with me. I also want to thank my constituency executive, and especially I want to thank the constituents of Kelvington-Wadena constituency for their support and for their thoughts and ideas on an ongoing basis. I truly appreciate their contact each and every day. Madam Deputy Speaker, today is Green Shirt Day in this chamber, when we honor the legacy of Logan Boulet's organ donation and lives saved as a result. The Humboldt Broncos crash is one of those events that is seared in our minds forever, and we will honor and remember those families together. I'd like to note and thank my colleague from Melfort, who was involved on that day and continues to act as pastoral care for first responders, specifically the RCMP. Our hearts are with them today as well. Madam Deputy Speaker, yesterday the Minister of Finance rose in this chamber and presented Budget 2021-22. This budget is built around protecting the people we serve, building Saskatchewan today and tomorrow, and growing well into the future. Over the next few days, the people of Saskatchewan will hear from their elected representatives about how the budget affects them and their communities. As a Saskatchewan Party government, we have outlined our long-term vision for the province in a document called Saskatchewan's Growth Plan, a decade of growth 2020 to 2030. This budget is essentially a second step forward in meeting those growth objectives. Despite unprecedented challenges as a result of the COVID pandemic and a federal Trudeau government repeatedly and brazenly showing hostility to Western Canada, our government continues to show a level of confidence in the people of Saskatchewan, and we are responding with responses both in supporting people and businesses affected by the COVID situation, as well as looking forward to a resurgent Saskatchewan. Madam Deputy Speaker, I'd be remiss if I didn't comment on the recent Supreme Court decision on behalf of my constituents in Kelvington-Wadena. As many rural Saskatchewanians responded, I have not received a single positive comment about the decision. Having read the decision myself and acknowledging that the justices have outlined their respective split decisions based on their perspective and legal minds, I cannot see it but as an overreach of epic proportions, and as Justices Brown and Rowe expound, of great concern for the democracy of Canada. We respect the decision of the court, but of particular concern is the encroachment on the principles of confederation as defined in the division of legislative authorities in jurisprudence over the history of Canada. Madam Deputy Speaker, I want to reassure my constituents that the affected ministers and Premier and all of our MLAs are working to find a Saskatchewan way forward in dealing with and responding to the appropriate balance of the environment and the economy. People are rightfully angry with the federal Trudeau government, and we respect that emotion and we understand their frustration. Coincidentally, the subject matter of the Supreme Court decision, the Pollution Pricing Act, expressed as carbon tax in our lexicon, went up 33% last week, and within 9 years will rise from today's $40 a tonne to $170 a tonne under the federal guidelines. Madam Deputy Speaker, our industries and our families simply can't afford this egregious punitive taxation. We, your Saskatchewan Party government, will do everything in our power to shield our residents from this massive tax grab from our industry, agriculture, farmers, and families. This is a matter of urgent attention as a budget and growth matter. We now grapple with the decisions impacted on industry, agriculture, families, and all elements of our economy. Madam Deputy Speaker, I have every faith that this government will respond with great care and consideration for the families we serve. Madam Deputy Speaker, I will speak at some length about the Saskatchewan Advantage, and because I represent largely a rural riding, I will speak to rural issues while making it very clear that rural and urban issues bear equal gravity, while perspectives may vary slightly. With my colleagues, I have often said that the economy of Saskatchewan is essentially rural, with the accumulation of wealth gravitating to urban centres. Please let me explain. Oil and gas wells and infrastructure, farms, mining infrastructure, forestry, commercial fishing, tourism, and much of our economy resides in and provides natural resource wealth from rural or very rural environs. The income generated from those resources accumulates to villages, towns, and cities through services provided to those base industries. Service industries, equipment manufacturers, dealers, transport companies, restaurants, research facilities, hotels, and so much more rely on a strong, stable rural economy. My government recognized this since its inception. Budget after budget has respected the nature of Saskatchewan with supports for our schools, rural hospitals and healthcare, social services, law enforcement, highways, and most importantly, supports for the people of Saskatchewan through investments in communities. I want to remind the citizens that we, your MLAs, are not the two-headed monsters that some pundits would portray, and despite what the NDP believe, we do not have our heads buried in the sand. Madam Deputy Speaker, like everyone else, we drive the same highways, we use the healthcare system, we have relatives in long-term care or home care, we have relatives dependent on senior income plans, we may have children or grandchildren in the school system or daycare. We also have family members that are nurses, CCAs, doctors, teachers, farmers, business owners, child care workers, frontline service providers, single aging parents living alone, ourselves or our parents or siblings actively using the healthcare system. Madam Deputy Speaker, we are no less aware of the challenges faced by the people of Saskatchewan in this pandemic than anyone else. In fact, on a personal level, over the past few months, I and family members have dealt with the long-term care system, surgery and physician services in the healthcare system, the cancer center, and COVID vaccination process, and I must say each has been excellent. Our youngest son and a very young nephew both have dealt with COVID-positive diagnosis. Madam Deputy Speaker, I would like to address a few specific items in the budget that are of particular importance to the residents of Kelvington-Wadena. First, a couple of things that might seem a bit remote. Investments in twinning and adding passing lanes to highways. We are users of the highways to Saskatoon, to Regina, around Yorkton, to the Alberta border, and many others. While none of these are directly in my constituency, we are traveling people, and these investments are significant safety upgrades that will save lives. A hidden gem is the investment in the Rare Earth Elements Lab in Saskatoon. Mr. Speaker, this is potentially the next Saskatchewan advantage, and I dare say that we can lead Canada and the world in these critical elements if some current modeling proves up. Mr. Speaker, I'll touch base on campaign promises made and kept in a moment, but I want to thank our municipal leaders for their quick response in taking advantage of what I think was a brilliantly designed and executed program, the Municipal Economic Enhancement Program. The uptake was almost universal and extremely important. Municipal upgrades were made, often to those challenging items that kept getting pushed back for affordability reasons. In my constituency, there were 73 applications. And I'd like to just touch on a few of those that I think represent the range and scope of the approved applications. Foam Lake, water treatment plant upgrade, $49,000. Water valve replacement, $20,000. Playground improvements, $65,000. Resort Village of Leslie Beach, upgrade to the pump station, $5,893. To the community of Kelvington, decommissioned landfill, $50,000. Repair and pave roads, $50,000. To the community of Wynyard, a new tractor for $33,920. Replacement of water pipelines, $100,000. To the arm of Birkdale, municipal shop, $122,313. The arm of Insinger, a bridge replacement design, $45,274. To the arm of Foam Lake, a gravel trailer, $51,419. The arm of Tisdale, a grader, $130,937. The community of Wadena, aquatic center pool liner replacement, $155,000. To Porcupine Plain, community hall upgrades, $35,000. The arm of Elfrost, tractor, for $56,000. The arm of Porcupine Plain, a grader, $115,000. The village of Rama, water holding tank, $11,498. As I said, Mr. Speaker, this is just a sampling of the extremely important upgrades to municipal infrastructure as a result of our investments. Mr. Speaker, when I first spoke with constituents as a potential candidate about their priorities, it was quickly evident that three things consistently rose to the top. One was highways, second was connectivity, and third, municipal infrastructure. That does not diminish for a second the issues around ag policy, forestry sustainability, water management, mental and physical health, security, and many other important measures in the constituency. I have been a strong advocate for those priority items and can announce that significant progress has been made. On highways, we have significant investment in highways 5, 9, and 16, and this year, number 38 from Kelvington North will be completely resurfaced, and significant maintenance is assured for number 23, which is a priority item for resurfacing in the very near future. In addition, a large-scale paving project will occur at Greenwater Lake Provincial Park this summer. In addition, significant funding is provided for both highway and municipal bridges, culverts, and safety initiatives. On connectivity, as Legislative Secretary last year, I was pleased to be part of the rollout of over 100 rural cell towers, and note that SaskTel continues to commit over $300 million to improvements this year, including 42 macro towers in rural areas. I'm also pleased that both SaskTel and private internet providers step up to respond to current demands, and note there is both urgency and opportunity to do so much more in this area. On municipal infrastructure, I noted the significant investment of $150 million to the MEEP program in last budget. But I also highlight the second highest level of municipal revenue sharing in the province's history in this year's budget, as well as our participation with the federal government in the current iteration of the Federal Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program. A couple of examples of beneficiaries under this program are the Archwell and RM of Barrier Valley Lagoon expansion and water treatment plant upgrades in Theodore. Mr. Speaker, we value an education system that prepares our youth for the 21st century social, economic, and cultural environment. Learning from history is an important element that cannot be lost to attempts to rewrite history. Every society has made grievous errors in judgment, and we must learn from those examples and strive to be better peoples as a result. Our economy is not what it was a century ago, and arguably not what it was a decade ago. New advances in sciences and technology challenge our education system to be dynamic and responsive, and to focus on tangible outcomes, preparing our young minds to face a real, demanding, and sometimes confusing world. In Saskatchewan, Our new reality is a multicultural diversity that enriches us beyond our imaginations a generation ago. Looking forward, using our historical grievances as learning experiences and growing Saskatchewan together is an opportunity unlike any in our history. How will we face that opportunity? Will we have faith and collective goodwill? Will we reestablish our fundamental family and community values? Will we respect each other as individuals capable of making each our own unique contribution to our new society? Mr. Speaker, our record investment in our education system must help us to bridge understandings, build respect, and grow inquisitive minds without limitations. Our record investments in education, up fully 11.6% this year to $391.3 million, speaks to our commitment to classrooms in Saskatchewan. I'd like to speak briefly to promises made and promises kept in this budget, which include the home renovation tax credit effective October 1st, 2020, the SaskPower 10% rebate effective December 1st, 2020, the increase to the Saskatchewan Advantage Scholarship Fund by 50% to $750 a year, and this will come into effect following the passing of this budget. A reduction in small business taxes effective October 1st, 2020. The restart to the Active Family Benefit Program. $6 million a year to expand autism funding. Expanding the province's insulin pump program to everyone with type 1 diabetes. Reducing the maximum cost of ambulance calls by 50% to $135 a call, and eliminating interhospital ambulance costs effective December 14th, 2020. Increasing the seniors' income plan to a maximum of $360 a month. Hiring the new continuing care aides. Restarting the community rink affordability grant. Mr. Speaker, these are all critical investments in our province, and they were campaign promises, and they are promises kept. Mr. Speaker, on Monday this week, I caught the CTV local news and captured the following quote, which I thought was apropos. I quote, "A deficit in the current conditions of a pandemic is understandable, but it's all about choices. It's all about values, and that's why it is critical at this time that the Sask Party rise to the occasion and make the investments that are to save lives and, of course, beat this pandemic and secure an economic recovery that lets people back to work." Mr. Speaker, let's take a look at that statement. Deficit in current conditions, check. Choices that are value to the Saskatchewan people, check. Values, again, values of Saskatchewan people, not the NDP, check. Investments that are going to save lives and beat this pandemic, check. Secure an economic recovery that gets people back to work, check. Mr. Speaker, who actually said that? I actually think, despite comments earlier today, the member from Regina Rosemont was prepared to vote for our budget because it meets all of his criteria, until it appears he was led astray by his leader and fed too much orange Kool-Aid. Mr. Speaker, I fully support the long-term vision in Saskatchewan's growth plan and the budget put forward by the Minister of Finance and seconded by the member from the Battlefords, and I do not support the amendment made by the member from Regina Rosemont. Thank you.